Okay guys, welcome back to part 11 of the Fokker DR1 build. This is how I left it on the end of part 10. But I realised I made a bit of a boo-boo, which I can't live with. And that is, this red line has to be, this demarcation line has to be halfway between the cockpit and the tailplane. What I forgot was that the tailplane is actually starts here, not here. So this line needs to actually go forward. I've just measured it 1 5/8. So I'm going to flat this line back. I'm going to retape it here, paint this forward 1 5/8, paint out the cross and put it in here further across. So little setback, but these things happen. But yes, you could live with it, but I'm afraid I can't. So it's got to be done. So what I'm going to do, you've seen me do it all on part 10, so I'm going to get on with this and come back to you when it's done. Here's a tip worth sharing, guys. So I hadn't planned on bringing you back in until I finish this job of moving the cross, but on part 10 video, when I mentioned about doing these crosses, David Query, good evening sir, said that when you're doing the cross or anything like this, really, if you paint the base colour, which is white, and then not paint with black, but essentially any bleeding that occurs under the tape is going to be the colour of the base, which is absolutely superb. Didn't think of it myself. Why should I? I'm not that smart. So I'll just let that set off. While that's setting off, I'll put the cross on the other side. It is now centered correctly on the gap. All good fun, guys. So I've marked the other cross up, so I'm just going to taper up and away we go. I think another little tip I could give you, which I haven't done, is to, when you stick this masking tape or any tape down that you're going to take off again, pays to leave just a little corner bent up around. Say you were sticking it down now, so you just turn it over so you got an easy corner to lift. Remember that for the wings. I think, alright, it's taken me a little bit of time to sort this mistake out, but I couldn't live with it as it was back there. Well, back only 1 5/8 further back, but now the tailplane ends. This is just at the start of the tailplane, which is where it should be. Yes, if you look closely you can see a fine line, but who's going to look that close? Nobody knows but us. There we go. That's the right place, Cliff. Next time measure it properly. Would have saved a couple of hours work there. Okay guys, here we are. Nice sunny morning. Right, I'm going to paint these two wings. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just paint the bottom, let it dry, and then turn it over and paint the top. So let's just start here. Yes, get it on. Look at that. Look at that. This was the first wing I covered, and the wingtip wasn't brilliant, was it? But the later ones were acceptable. Probably going to have, well, it will have 2 coats, no doubt about that. Doesn't that look just gorgeous in red? You get quite a lot of air bubbles coming up, but they settle down very well as it dries, so don't worry about it. Spray some lacquer on the fuselage, just a light coat. gone on very nicely. I've also fitted the air intakes on each side, scale detail. I've also fitted the side step. This is all while the wings are drying, so I fitted the tail skid, hard to see in this light. It's quite easy to fit in the end. And so all the wings have been coated once, the underneaths have had a second coat, the white bits have all had a coat of lacquer, and these wings are still waiting for their top coat on the top surface. Seems to go on pretty well. I'm going to call it a day on that. So welcome back, guys. I'm just putting on crosses on the top wing. What I've done, I've cut out cross, right size, and just marked up some crosses. What I plan to do is to do a white cross followed by a black cross. So I'm going to continue to do this. I'll show you the next stage, which, because I've already done the lower wings. The next stage, so I'll put that on. I've painted it with red, so if there's any bleed through, it'll only bleed red onto the red. David Query's idea, brilliant idea. So say what I plan to do is to paint the whole cross white, or at least the edges, mask it up again, and then paint the inside black, so I end up with a nice white border to the black crosses. That's the plan. So the outside edge is going to be white, so I'm going to paint white on the inside here. Probably want more than one coat, almost certainly. So I'll just put a light coat on for now. Looks nice and crisp, which is what I wanted to see. Don't forget the original crosses were painted, so any sort of paint lines are going to look authentic, aren't they? Oh, crept under there, that. Get rid of that. Pulled a bit off there. That was clumsy of me. Easily touched in though. So a little bit of creep in there and there, but easily sorted. Pulled off the ailerons, they come out nice. So next step is to mask this off about 5-6 mil inside this line, maybe 5 mil, just to give me a nice white outline, and then I can put some black on. Right, next stage is just to seal the edges of this tape. And it's pressed down pretty well. I've got a new technique here as well. I've sort of roughly mitered the corners so as I can get really sharp without any overlap of the film. But let's just have I'm putting on quite a thinned down coat of emulsion here. Thinned it, just put a bit of water in there, because the emulsion that's on there is acting like a bit of a sponge. I've watered it down quite a lot because I want it to spread. So several thin coats, better than one thick coat. How are we looking? Yeah, it's quite wet, so just paint away. So I'll leave it like that for the minute and we'll let that dry. Okay, it's dry. Let's put on the third coat. See, thin down coats dry much quicker. There's probably only 5 minutes between each coat, maybe 10. This could be the last coat. We'll see how it goes on. We'll let that go and let it dry, and then we'll pull the tape off, see how it looks, and then finally a coat of clear lacquer, matte lacquer, which is this one here. I just buy sort of 4 at a time off of eBay. It's just about dry, so I'm going to whip the tape off and we'll have a look. And that looks very nice. That looks very nice. And cross gears. White. Okay, there it is. Not absolutely perfect, a little bit lifted there, but overall I think that's pretty smart. Okay, so here we go again, fellas. What have I done? I've glued the elevators on to the tailplane, which I can't find. What have I done with that? Oh, thank goodness I didn't sit down. Oh. Okay, so I've glued the tailplane on. Oh, sorry, I've glued the elevators on, and I'm going to offer up the tailplane. It should fit over those holes if I've done my homework okay. And I've got a bunch of screws here, and the ones I want are those three there. What I've done, I've painted them, but whether they're going to chip or not when I screw them in remains to be seen. I've also glued little washers onto them. Once I've got the tailplane in, I can start to connect up the surfaces. One. I mean, it is pretty flexible, but I'm going to fit the tailplane support underneath. Don't forget, I made that up. Let's turn it over a minute. And connect up the servos now and fit the tailplane support. Doesn't matter what I do next. I haven't covered the tailplane support yet, so I could do that. Right guys, what I'm going to do is to solder up the elevator push rods. So soldering iron is on. I'm going to use flux. I'm going to use my helping hands. As we know, the key to good soldering is cleanliness and heat. Yeah, it's pushed right in. It should go in pretty well. So we'll just see if he's up to temperature. Something's moving about there. It's not bad. So we'll just heat this up, make sure it's reasonably straight out. A little bit of heat. Actually, what I'll do, I'll try putting some solder down through that saw cut. Yeah, there you are, it's worked. Okay, we'll leave that to cool off a moment. Plenty of smoke on it. I've just lacquered up the wings this afternoon. It was quite a nice day. And just had an comment on part 10 from Angus to say that you can get exterior grade Valspar, which I didn't know about, so maybe it would have saved putting lacquer on. Well, there's plenty of shine around that. I could get in there, or I could solder down the back end. I think I might need something in there, like a small piece of plywood or something like that, to keep the soldering iron away from the servo. Here's a small piece of plywood. Let's put that there. Perfect, perfect. Put a bit of flux on this one while I'm here. Bit more in there. A bit in there. Okay, I think we're good to have a go at soldering then. Have a go. Sometimes you've got to bridge the joint between the iron and the metalwork. using solder, and then it will conduct the heat. I think that'll do it. That looks okay. That's nicely soldered. So let's do the other side. I think that's in. So let's screw that into there. As it naturally falls, there's not a lot of up and down movement on that, so I'm pretty much governed to this hole here, which is the third one up. Yeah, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Yeah. There's one servo connected up. Woohoo! I need a servo reverse on this, by the way, so well, good to see them working, guys, isn't it? Center them up. There we go. Elevators connected. Woohoo! Right, so I've got the tailplane brace I made up. I'm going to try sliding heat shrink tubing over it and just shrinking it on, and in that way it should remain pristine and white. Sounds like a firm of solicitors, doesn't it? Okay, success. The heat shrink melted down over the, shrunk down I should say, over the aluminium bar quite nicely. Not until I've got the bolts in. Now the bolts are M4s by the look of it. Now they go up from the bottom and they're Allen key, so I'll just pick up an Allen key. But the nut is a nylock. Should just force through. There we go. So there's one. I haven't painted the nuts. I thought I would do that after I connected it all up. Once this one's on, I can think about getting the rudder glued on and the closed loop made up, which would be a good target to achieve the weekend video. Okay, and that is the tailplane brace fitted. I think that looks okay. It is white, not quite the same colour white, but you'll never notice that in a fly past, but it's made the tailplane incredibly stiff. There's no movement there whatsoever, it's stiff. So tailplane and elevator's complete. Tailplane screws are in, little washers on them. They don't look too obtrusive. So I'm going to glue in the rudder hinges to stop any epoxy going in the hinge. Just dip it in like that, turn it around, dip that side in. That should be enough to keep the epoxy off the hinge. We'll find out, won't we? So pop it in some epoxy here, which I've mixed up out of shot. I'm just going to push it into the correct hinge hole. I'm going to twirl it as I go in an effort to sort of spread it around the rest of the pin hinge, and with a bit of luck the Vaseline will keep out any glue. What I've got is 4 of these hinges on the rudder because I'm going to take a lot of strain. See why I needed to Vaseline it, because I can't control all 4 pins. Hopefully the Vaseline will do its job, otherwise I shall be in deep trouble. Okay, pardon me, it's a biggish gap, but that's okay. The rudder looks about central. I noticed I've got a small chip of paint there. I have to touch that in. Otherwise, it's coming on. So here we are in the sunshine, guys. Just thought I'd bring it out in the daylight. Just got the Raven sticker to go on the side and some numbers. Yeah, look at that. I'm pretty pleased with that. As I keep saying, the skids come out pretty well as well. Look. If you can see that there, well, looks mighty fine. Okay guys, I think that's where I'm going to leave it this week now. Both ailerons are hinged. As we know, the tailplane and fin and rudder is hinged and working. The next video is going to be assembling the wings. I think, yes. Yeah, putting the wings together. Just got to glue the tyres on the wheels. But assemble the wings and it's really going to start taking shape. So very close to the finish now. So thanks very much for watching, everybody. Hit the little like button down below, leave us a comment, and I'll see you in part 12, I think it is. And things are going to be moving along really rapidly now. Oh, I've got a little mystery here, little mystery box which I'll unwrap probably this weekend as well. You can see what's in there. So I think I know what's in there, but we'll see together. So thanks again, and I'll see you in part 12. Cheers guys, bye. Cheers.